right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to present to you today. Again, I'm Bill Clan from Crescor, a national sales manager, also with responsibility for chains, specialty accounts, and also most of the territories that you operate in. Tony asked us to put together a segment concentrating on ovens. So what we've done is we've put together an oven demonstration as well as a review of the 3 different types of ovens we make, which are really going to give you a lot of information. And again, we will follow that up with questions afterwards and answers just to help you understand just the full capabilities of our 3 ventless ovens. Okay, with that, we're going to start with a video. In here. So I'm still live.
All right, you're live.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So as you can see, this is the way we're going to start off with. We have a sheet that we'll actually also offer as a sell sheet. It really much describes the 3 types of ovens in which we offer. We have radiant ovens like Alto Sham, and we also have convected air ovens in both dry and humidity, but we also now have a high heat, or what we call a quick therm oven, which is a high velocity convected air oven, which really gives you 3 different platforms based upon what customers used to. Now, when you look at the first one there called cook and hold ovens, radiant ovens, we actually put up our comparisons to, if in the red at the bottom, who we compete with. So it really is Alto Sham and the Halo Heat. So we make the 1200, the 1000, the 750, also the 500 and the 767 smoker oven, which can be operated in both hot smoke as well as cold smoke. Again, when we start with the talk about radiant ovens, there are no fans, somewhat limited in what they can cook, mostly with meats and things like that, but not a lot of browning or baking, and we'll have examples of that later. From there, we actually progress into the convected air ovens, or what we call the CO series ovens, in which we have 4 fans of moving air. We have 2 speeds in there where we can actually change the amount of air velocity. We can do slow cooking, light baking. We can also do it with or without humidity in both bake and in hold. And in this market, depending on whether you go dry or humidified, we compete with Winston CVAP, FWE, Vulcan, and all the Carter Hoffman cook and hold ovens as well. So that's basically our 2 starting points. But the really interesting one now is coming out of the institutional market, the quick therm oven. Here we've taken all the attributes of the CO oven with 4 fans, but we've increased the air velocity by 50%, now allowing us to do not only the slow cook and the simple baking, but now we can also add air frying to the list. And we do it in 2 sizes. We have the institutional size, which is very popular in schools and prisons, but now we actually developed a half-size oven, which we can offer on stilts or on a platform, really to compete with the independent restaurants who need something that will not go under a hood. Again, all 3 of these devices do not go under hoods, and that's important because hood space is so hard to get these days. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to show you an example of where we did a side-by-side cooking of radiant versus convected air to really give you just the different attributes, not only in the cooking process, but also in the cleanup as well. Hi, I'm Bill Clan from Crescor. Today we're going to do our comparison of slow cooking between the 1000 CH and the CO 151. This is a convected air oven. This is a radiant oven. First thing to look at is the fact that when we use the CH oven, we actually allow the meat to hang on a rack and drip down into a drip pan, and that becomes part of the cooking process. Now when we go over to the CO oven, we actually put the meat on a rack on a sheet pan, and it hangs in the oven with its own little drip pan right beneath it. And that's the major difference between the 2 as far as for setup. We're now going to start both ovens and let them run for 2.5 hours at 250 with a hold of 140 degrees. Please note that both controls, even though we have a radiant oven and a convected air oven, are identical, making it very easy to offer multiple controls in a single environment. So now you can see at the initial cooking phase, we start to see in the radiant oven how the meat is hanging and how it starts to drip and create moisture within the pan. When we use the CO or convected air oven, since again, we're separating it with a sheet pan, but raising on a rack, we develop a nice caramelization around the meat, which actually seals the meat up, but still keeps the interior of the oven very clean. Again, the progression of cooking, as the meat gets closer to the done point now, we see more of the humidity leaving, or renderings leaving the meat and dropping down into the drip pan in the radiant oven, but still we're consolidating that and really holding that into one certain area on the sheet pan when we do it in the convected air oven, again, building that deep caramelization. At this point now, we're bringing the meat out of the radiant oven. And as you can see, there's still some stuff to clean up inside there, but the meat is fully cooked. It's been rested. It actually was in process for over 18 hours. And we have a fully cooked and rested piece of meat. When I say rested, that means the juices have equalized and worked their way back through, so there's no purge when you slice into it. Now, coming out of the CO oven, as you can see, a darker caramelization. And again, all I did was vegetable oil and just a little Montreal seasoning to create this. But side by side, you can see there is a visible difference to the meat as far as in the exterior. The convected air has a darker hue to it, where the radiant one is a little lighter. Again, looking at what we have to do in the scullery area afterwards, simple to clean up when we're doing with the CO oven. So again, looking at the meats, it was a full top round, which I split in half, equal portions. And now we're going to do the cutting. So the first one I'm going to cut is going to be the one coming out of the radiant oven. And as you can see, fully rested, rare end to end. Nice little glaze of juice starting to weep its way out, but it's not purging. And that again is part of that equalization when you leave it in for long periods of time. And cutting in the one that was done in the convected air oven, we see a darker edge to it, but that actually acts as a sealer and keeps a lot more of the juices inside. Notice just a slight darkening of it. As we press down, as you can see, when you seal it in a CO oven, you do get a little more retentive juice. And again, that's just our comparison now for the two pieces. Okay, so let's go back live now and we'll review the ovens. Okay, so now we're back to the live picture. Again, the hardest part about working in the radiant oven is the cleanup. You have to clean the rack, you have to clean the drip pan. And that's really after each use. When you do full loads in this oven, one of the concerns is you're also going to take out the interior and put that through the washroom as well. Does a great job, extremely slow and stable for primary cuts of meat, but somewhat limited if you wanted to do more than just that. Moving on from there then to the CO oven. Again, when we work with this oven, we always recommend universal angles. That being, as we did in the demo, we did the top round in this, just a rack on a regular sheet pan, which can be easily taken back to scullery and taken care of. But since we're using universal angles, we're also able to put 2 hotel pans sideways, or half or third sheet pans right on the rail without any other adjustments.
Bill, I have a
Interiors
question.
are still adjustable every 1.5 inches on center. Yes.
The question is this, Bill, is there a difference in yield between the radiant and the CO? So you had the two steaks in there, and one obviously had a lot more juice than the other one. So is there a particular yield benefit from the CO over the radiant?
CO over the radiant.
Actually, that's a great question. When we did the yield, we actually had equal yield between both pieces of meat. So that's something that's important because we weighed them both prior and after. We had about an 8% shrinkage at 225 for a cook time of 2.5 hours and a hold time of, I would say, 16 hours at 140 degrees. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Then working again from there, the universal angles is something we always recommend with our full-size ovens in both the CO and the quick temp RO oven. Okay. Again, going back to what I said initially, looking at the controls, whether you buy our radiant or whether you buy our convected air models, the control panels are the same. They're easily to adjust, easily to read, and they're very intuitive going from one type of cooking oven to the other. So if you had a operation that had multiple units of both radiant and convected air, which again are both going to be ventless, working these controls is very simple. Very easy to work with. All they're going to do is they're going to put on a button. Okay. They're going to sit there and they're going to set their cook time by simply executing. Set that away, start. It's ready to preheat. It'll tell you when it's ready to go. That works like that with all of our platforms. And again, this is using a control that is easily replaceable in the field should there ever be an issue down the road. Now, with all Crescor ovens, we actually have a 3-year parts and 1-year labor warranty. If you sell them into a K through 12 school system, it becomes a 5-year parts, 1-year labor warranty. So always a lot of opportunity to sell. So that's the basic side-by-side comparison on slow cooking using 2 completely different types of devices, but having a similar outcome. We're now going to go on and we're going to show some information on the next piece of equipment, which is going to be our quick therm version, which is basically taking this and adding a lot more air velocity to it. So here now we're looking at the quick therm. Again, this is the one that we've designed to really work for the independent restaurateur. Again, with the universal angle interior. Notice the 6 fans in the top because now we've gone from 4 to 6 fans, again, increasing the air velocity by 50%. Okay. This one does also come with humidity. You can order all of our CO and RO ovens with or without humidity, depending on how your customer chooses to work. So now we're talking about air frying. In this method, we actually use perforated pieces that actually allow more airflow, so we get the full benefit of that air velocity in finishing off these pieces of food. Chicken fingers, pizzas, French fries. We have school districts that use these for French fries all day long in certain cities. But again, if it's an independent restaurant and they're looking for something that can do a lot of different things outside of the hood, we have examples for them. As we take the product out, pizzas were done in 11 minutes. And we get a good caramelization of that, again, because of the airflow. French fries, simple to do, again, using those air baskets or perforated pans. Chicken fingers, very, very easy and very quick as well. And again, another example of French fries on a different type of perforated pan or rack. Now we talk about baking. We can actually do biscuits. Think about a breakfast program. Now they can do biscuits fresh and hot each day. So it's important to look again at the extension. We start with the radiant oven. No fans, no moving air. We then go to the roast and hold oven with 4 fans, okay, and some moving air. And again, with or without humidity. From there, we extend into the quick therm that just gives us a lot more air velocity and a lot more versatility. So at this point, we've gone through the 3 different types. Again, similar controls. Again, with or without humidity. The different types of baskets that we would use when we're doing air frying. Also, just the different sizes available. Again, when we do full-size units in the CO, we can make those pass-through for high volume operations, giving you more pieces to work with. All right. So things I'd like you to remember at this point so far is air velocity versus radiant. Simple, slow, really can only do limited things. This can do everything that a radiant oven can do and more. And then the further extension of that is going to be the high velocity, which does all the standard convection oven work, but now with air velocity, we can add air frying to that process. Are there any questions at this point?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay, moving on to pretty much now just the different things that we can do to support you. This is where I kind of get into the family-owned business. Crescor is an 80-year-old family-owned business that really concentrates on customer service. When there is an issue, which in food service there typically can be down the road, we support you, the customer, with whatever we need to do. Should you have an issue, I don't have to go to a committee of 20 people to get an answer. I simply call ownership, Craig Baggett, and I have a decision within an hour or so. And that's important for you and your customer to keep things moving. Things happen. Hidden freight damage. Something happens out of warranty. We want to make sure that you and your customer feel very comfortable with our equipment. Typical lifespan of our ovens is 10 to 12 years in initial use. And that's important. They last a long time. And we really stand behind the quality of that. Oven structure itself, all of our ovens are field reversible. It's very important to note that having reversibility in the field allows them to change the swing of the doors whenever they need to. Gasketing is built on such that it's very simple to replace all one-piece gaskets around, making it very simple to operate and then to maintain. When we talk about the water systems, do it in this one here to make it a little easier for you. We actually put 4-gallon water systems within the unit. So when we operate the oven, we not only set the temperature, but we set the relative humidity as well. So there's the 4-gallon water tank with the float system in there. And as you can see, there's no water in there. So when you look up here, it says low water. But I can actually set relative humidity against what I'm doing as far as temperature goes. When we get to the units as far as the DX versions, yes.
Hey, I just had a quick question. So, and obviously I sort of know the answer, but just want to hear from you. Obviously the Radiants have been around for a long time. They're awesome. You know, some of those places that do the prime ribs, that's all they've ever used, and they've been great, right? What have you seen as far as some of the transition from the Radiant to the air velocity and changing from those? And who do you see doing that more, and or who's sticking with the Radiant, and or why? And again, I'm just asking from your perspective or what you've seen that can help the sales team.
I would say what I'm seeing mostly right now is in chains. In the chain system, what I'm seeing is, number one, because of the way a radiant oven typically works and the amount of water sanitation that has to be done at the end of the shift, they're not getting a full cleaning. And I'm seeing them, once they try that side-by-side testing, say it's an existing AltoSham customer, I could say I could replace that AltoSham with a radiant oven with a more rigid platform. Or let's look at, is there other things you want to do? It's really about expanding the menu as far as going from just one item to, okay, so if you're cooking overnight, that's one way to do it, but what are you doing with that after that? Are there other things you could be doing? Could you get your biscuits out in the morning out of a different oven while you're doing more primary cooking in your regular cooking suite under the hood? It's really just an extension of doing more and more. And I'd say the biggest trend right now is there is so much more food coming through the freezer versus through the refrigerator right now. A lot more engineered product because a lot of these places just do not have the staff to do a lot of scratch cooking. So they're looking for convenience items to expand their menu without pinching the labor. And it's really about just the extension of, yes, we can do that, but we can do so much more when we go to the convected air model. And I have several test units around the country, even as low as a simple portable 120 volt, 20 amp undercounter piece that we can just roll into any facility and do a demonstration.
Nice. Great points. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that was a good question. Other questions at this point? This is the Q&A part. All right. So let's talk about a couple things. Crescor has about 48 different versions of these ovens. And one of the things we can get to is we do this search called GPS. When we do GPS, what we can actually do is go from different types of pieces as far as for a search engine in order to do it. Crescor GPS is available as an app on Apple as well as on Google search. And we can bring it up right now. Kristen's going to type in www.crescor.com and put that up. So now you can see basically when we go into this, she's going to scroll down. Okay, and you see right there, global product search. So watch what happens when we click on this. This basically is going to replace me one day when we go down to the oven section and we click into it. It's actually going to give you different verbiage based upon what you're trying to do. Again, cook and hold, gentle radiant design with flavorful results in slow cooking. Okay, also the smoker version, which we can run hot or cold. Rethermalization, roast and hold, roll in. So when we go to the cook and holds, and she clicks on that, you actually can now see, again, what are we looking to do? Full size, half size, under counter, just like you would. So let's go to the full size unit. Universal angles versus wire rack inserts. On this one, for the radiance, because of the fact we're still going drip pans, I'd go to wire rack on these, just because that way you kind of actuate into the drip pan version. And again, now we come up with the 1200 series. She rolls down to the bottom, and now comes the spec sheet. Now, this is something that's publicly out there for your customers to get to. And it makes it very simple to really kind of do their own research in the field. Okay. Question? All right, let's back one out.
Quick question here. What is best Crescor pass-through holding cabinet for pizza?
Best press. Okay, let's go back to it now for Pete. We're going back to the website again. Okay. Can't get over there with that. All right, so let's go over to, we'll go live. We're going to look at this one. So let's go global product search. Okay, go up to hot cabinets. Okay, we're going to go insulated. Let's go full size. Trying to think it would go through this way. We're going to go convected air. All right. And we're going to go no humidity. Because when you say pizza now, the way I start with pizza is going to be stainless steel, is actually going to be working on a unit that makes sense in pass-through. Yes. All right. Inserts, pizza, merchandising cabinet. So that one we're going to go with fixed rack insert. Okay. So now we see one version of that. We're going to back out one. And we'll actually now go to a live one here. We're going to click back to live, and I'll show you the actual cabinet because I happen to have it right here with me. So now we have what we typically sell to a lot of different pizza chains. This cabinet is owned, the design's owned by Crescor. So we have Crescor versions as well as chain specific versions of this. This one actually is set up right now to not only hold pizzas on 14-inch box pizzas, but also on the top end, we've done this as a merchandiser. So when we do it as a merchandiser, we actually have, I'm going to slide over to this side, gravity shells which are adjustable so I can change the angle based upon the resistance of the food to make it fall forward. We also have 5 halogen lights to give you multiple lighting on this. Now, since we know this cabinet's going to be holding pizza, we've designed this with 2 sets of heaters that flow across from either side, giving you even heat top to bottom for holding pizza up to an hour in a box situation. It's also great to be sold for grab and go items that may be for a self-serve operation where a customer can simply walk up, pick the product that they want, and then they can walk away and still be able to just shut the door and the next product falls into place. This is a pass-through cabinet. As you can see in the back, there is actually an inventory window down the entire back side of the cabinet. So you can actually resupply this cabinet from the back. Again, not interfering with any sort of customer activity out front.
Quick question. What are the lead times on something like this?
Lead times on the pizza types cabinets is about 6 weeks right now.
Okay. And hey, quick question for you on the half-size units. Do you guys sell the equipment stands for those?
Do we sell the equipment stand as well? Size unit.
Yes, the equipment stand is an option on the half-size units as well. For that one, again, it'll just basically come to here if you wanted to. And again, when you're talking the half-size units, you can really decide what you want to do with it, as far as if you put it to this height, you probably will limit the amount of people that put stuff on top of them. As you get closer to waist level, people tend to use that as a shelf. If they plan to put more equipment on top of there, we do have an option for what's called a worktop, which allow them to put different pieces of equipment on top of the unit as well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Other questions?
You're doing great.
I'm doing great, someone said. Wow, that's wonderful. Again, this is the first time we've tried doing a live with video pieces. It's difficult to try and put it all together, but the important thing is we tried to give you accurate, direct content so you can really see the results. Obviously, if you wanted me to come down there and cook in 9 locations, that would have been a little more challenging today. But I can tell you that our employees really enjoyed the food that we put together yesterday to make this demonstration. There were no leftovers, but it's important to know that I can replicate what I did yesterday for any one of your customers in any location, regardless of voltage. A lot of things we can do to support you in the field. Crescor makes over 700 products in 9 categories of food service. Everything from banquet cabinets to ovens to racks to dish dollies, just a lot of things you can do just to build up your order. And on that subject of building up your order, I just want to remind you that all the ovens have a 3-year warranty for parts, 1 year for labor. If it goes K through 12, we're going back into the fact that now you're going to extend that forward. But Crescor will stand behind any one of our products. Our lead times have gotten shorter. Please check with your local rep. Every month I send out the latest update on where we are by product on lead times. And that is a moving target, as you all well know. Next up, we'll really be going about just as being an IFED. Right now, we have free freight at $30,000. There will be some things coming down the road that I'll be discussing with Tony later than that, just to give you more pieces to work with, maybe some more spot promotions. But what I'm going to offer you today is any oven, any one of our ovens that you look at and decide to bid out, in the next 60 days, we'll get an additional 5% discount. Okay?
Now, what I would
hopefully
say
that'll be something that'll help get some things motivated.
Hey, Bill, just want to let everybody know right now, we're going to go over how to make sure that you put that 5% on your purchase order so they know at the factory, hey, the pricing's off or whatever. So I'm going to tell them how to put the 5% on their purchase order so they can take advantage of that, Bill.
Yeah, and absolutely put my name on it for all territories. Because
Awesome.
again, since I call on your main office here, I will support that. My cameraman today is Tony Cabrera. Tony, step in front of the camera right here, please. All right, so Tony's actually covering the groups in Missouri. I cover the groups in Florida, but I will also extend my coverage into the groups up in the Carolinas as well, and wherever else you guys expand in the future, because it's important that we create the same message for all your branches and have the same opportunities.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, if there are any more questions that we have at this point, I know we're running a little quick, but I think it's important that, we make the content relevant. I mean, if you wanted to, I could have done a time delay on the beef a little better, but it really is pretty much the concentration on the ovens and the hot cabinets that we can work on. I would say in closing, just because I'm getting to a point We just wanted to say that no matter what you buy from Crescor, we will support it. We're the only company that makes 3 types of heat delivery. We do convected air with humidity, and we do radiant. Or we do Alto Sham, Winston, and everybody else in 5 sizes. Everything from under counter to full size pass through, but we also do the same thing in hot cabinets. Radiant, convected air with humidity.
Okay,
That
buddy, that
PDF we
works
will
for me.
send out to everybody again, giving a good reference point on the ovens, which is the focus right now for that additional 5%, to really just develop, you know, a bit of a street savvy. As far as test equipment goes, I know that there's a good inventory of equipment that I have down at Florida Agents for the Florida groups, and I will actually be with Frank Bonavita next week and check on what he has in the Carolinas. And I know Tony's going to check on see what Creative has to support you in that office. Okay, and
Bill, I
Tony's
just wanna
pointing
say-
to the fact that this unit, the Quick Therm, is actually in Missouri right now at Creative.
Bill, I just want to say thank you. I mean, I think it did present well from this end, viewing at a computer, how you guys did that, for me anyways, and I think from the sales side, looking at this, it presented well, made sense, it connected, so thank you.
Yeah, I know with a
appreciate it.
face like this, it's really designed for radio, but we do the best we can.
Thanks.
We're workers in the field. I will go out into any restaurant, any shift, anytime, and work with your customers, regardless whether it's a 2-piece chain or a multiple chain, and just help your customers find those solutions. One of the growing areas that I'm seeing right now, for those of you that may touch on correctional or prison work, we are seeing a lot more desire for prison type applications. I can take any of these ovens or hot cabinets and I can create a prison package, everything from basically an open camp to a Supermax, and create products that will work within that realm. So think of us for anything rolling, anything to do with ovens, anything ventless. We can support you.